Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to start a small little magic find project, which is basically running 144, which is basically an entire tab full of Crimson Temple tier 16 maps. So this character itself turned, or at least it started off as like a small little side character. You know, I was always thinking about, yeah, I'll just make like a 5x magic finder, and every time like I'm waiting for sales or I'm re-rolling the build and stuff like that, I could just toggle along, run some maps, and I did this like 2 days ago on tier 11 Crimson Temple. But I had a lot of fun with the character, and I think it turned pretty well for what it's made for. Yeah, I just spent more currency, like I think I have like 40x investment or something on this one, and now it can easily do like tier 16 maps as well as like map bosses, league content, and so on. So there is multiple things I want to talk about. I would say we're going to start off with talking about Magic Find in general. So what is Magic Find? I mean, pretty easy. You just try to get as much quantity and rarity as you can get, so monsters drop more stuff, and that should maybe get you some more profit. But the thing is, like, what a lot of people forget, if they think about Magic Finder, or in general, I would say, Magic Finding is usually a Wind Ripper kind of like bow character, maybe like Tornado Shot or Ice Shot or anything like that. But the thing is, like, if you want to farm higher tier content, the Magic Find items do not really do anything, right? So these doesn't have any stats. They just have like quantity with a white socket. The Biscus Leash, you know, what does it have? Like 40 cold dress, no life whatsoever. The boots have like no life at all. So like the Magic Find items are typically pretty much garbage. And what you want to try to do is like you want to maintain your speed and then add quantity rarity for magic finding, right? Because the worst thing you can do is just say like, okay, I want to have the best magic finder, or let's say the theoretically best magic finder with like over 100 quantity or something. But if you are slower while doing your maps just because of all the magic finding, then you will have less profit. Because if you have a good decent build that has a good clear speed but without magic find, then you can run 2 maps in the same time as the magic finder runs 1. You're still probably better off just because of the amount of monsters that you are most likely to kill. So what I tried to do here is just like trying to maintain a very quality of life based magic finder with like Death Oath here, and just an auto walker more or less in the style of an auto bomber, and just don't worry about anything else, and then just fit in as much magic find as I could do. So let's talk about the map. Why Crimson Temple? I think for most people it's now obvious. It's because of the apothecary card, which is Mage Blood. So usually, you would do something like tower farm with nurse cards for doctors or headhunter, or you farm burial chambers for doctor cards for headhunter. But with the current price, if I show you that one, based on like the arch nemesis modifiers, like headhunter is going for like 35x at the moment. So you can expect the doctor card being a lot less valuable. So instead of farming a burial chamber with potential doctor card drops, I could just farm cemetery and get brother stash for 5x turn in, and that will most likely be ahead of that, right? But this time around, we have this new divination card, the apothecary, and this drops in Crimson Temple. And it's not only Crimson Temple. If we check PoE DB, which is in my opinion a trustful source, you're gonna see here that the apothecary card, if I find it, apothecary. Damn, if we just, wait a sec, if we just copy this one over here and search, might have results. Okay, so, Crimson Temple as well as Crimson Tower Ship. So those are the two the Crimson maps that will be able to drop the apothecary card. The only thing is like, that it is drop level restricted. That means you can, or this is GGG's way to tell us, you know what, we don't want you to farm any like T1 or T2 map with like ridiculous magic find characters. They're gonna make a drop restriction from level 75. That means for Crimson Temple, I don't know about Crimson Tower Ship, I want to run Crimson Temple because I like the layout. This means tier 11. So if you would just put away 2 of your Void Stones, then your Crimson Temple goes down to 11, and that would be fine. Another benefit of running this one on high tier maps besides the fact that the Mageblood div card can drop, you could potentially drop a Squire, because they're also like drop restricted from level 75 above, as well as a Mageblood itself, okay? So running low tier maps is just not that good anymore, just because of drop restrictions and stuff. And the next thing is there is more cards in Crimson Temple that are, I would say, valuable, right? In one hand, it's the Mageblood card. In the second, it's the 7 Years Bad Luck, which is a divination card for Mirror Shards, and the Enlightened, which is a div card that turns into an Enlightened or Corrupted level 3 or anything like that. So all these three cards go for something, but my main approach here is actually not farming divination cards. My main approach will be farming challenges. So there is one big thing with magic finding. So, for example, back in the days when we ran like thousands of burial chambers trying to find doctor cards, you know, it was more like the journey to find doctor cards was bringing more currency than actually finding the cards itself, okay? I think people that back in the days ran thousands of these maps like I did, they will 100% agree with me that if your goal is to farm a headhunter in burial chambers, you maybe find 3 or 4 cards, and the rest of the currency, so more than half of the currency will be gathered through Exile drop, through other random stuff, the bubblegum currency, like it's the entire package, right? And since the Apothecary is like literally the rarest div card in the game, I wouldn't wonder if you run like a 500 maps and you will not even find it. So the way of thinking that makes the mapping aspect more enjoyable would just be do something else and just be in the area where it could potentially drop, with adding as much quantity as possible. And this is exactly what I'm trying to do. So my goal is to generate passive sustain through the Searing Exarch that I'm currently farming based on my challenges, right? Over here. Then I will, once I kill the bosses, then I will get those fragments, the invitation. They also go for like an X. Let me quickly actually check. Eldritch, this one here. The Incandescent goes for like 1 Exalt, and the Polaric goes for 12. Okay, but still, this will naturally drop based on my progression on how many maps I run. So every, like, with a double progress thing, you maybe like every 15 to 20 maps you're gonna get 1 Exalt for free, right? And if you do like 100, 200 maps or even more, you just generate more passive income. The next thing is I'm always doing my 40 of 40, as you probably can tell out of my massive totem collection already here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna farm challenges in Crimson Temple. Because at the moment I'm like on a breach, then I'm on like, then I'm gonna do essences, then I'm gonna follow with like domination, and I'm just gonna try to do challenges in the Crimson Temple environment. Which tells me I'm not wasting my time running my maps because I'm actively farming challenges. I could do this in any other map, right? But I decided to just focus on challenges earlier this time, just because they are somewhat grindy this time around and a lot harder. But I still wanna be in an environment where I could potentially have a lucky drop for the Apothecary card that gives me like a 30x, right? Next to that, I'm gonna farm like Searing Exarch and stuff like that. And this is also how I build up my tree for this project. So I'm currently doing like breaches, you know, then like extra sexton usage, a bunch of strong boxes, map sustain, like all the good stuff, blocking out the content that I don't want to like or don't want to run. And once I'm done with the breaches, there's only like 2 bosses missing, then I'm gonna go over with like a different mapping strategy. So you have to take this into account, that this is not like a full different or at least like not 100% same approach kind of thingy, right? Because not of all the maps here will have the same modifiers on it, just because I'm gonna swap my Atlas tree around based on what challenges I've completed and whatnot. Good, let's take a look at the small little magic find project. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run 144, which is an entire tab full of Crimson Temple maps. So I made a price breakdown here. What is the initial cost? And then we're going to separate everything in my folder here. So all of these like special tabs are empty besides the stuff that I need for this project, right? So we're going to have the Crimson Temple map that I value for 4 chaos a piece. Then we're going to have the Scarabs here, which is, I'm going to run this with Rusted Cartography, Rusted Elder, Rusted Divination, as well as the Rusted Ambush. And I did pay a total of like, in bulk, there was like 0.63, like 1C for the div card, 130 for the Carto, and 4C actually for the Ambush. So Ambush Scarab are pretty expensive. Then the Sextant can be counted in because it's 1 use but for 4 maps, but you also need 4 of those because of the Void Stone, so it's totally fine to just count in 1 Awakened Sextant per map. Then the Alchemy and the Chisels, and we end up having a total price of 13 Chaos per map that we're gonna invest. So if you count this up to the 144 maps that I already like rolled, so I did this pre. So I bought all the maps, I chiseled them up, I alked them, and then I just removed the cannot regen modifier, because I think all the other stuff I can run with my build. So this is around about 12 Exalt investment, and then we're gonna see what we're gonna find in those maps. Will we find the card? Which one will we find? Will we find multiple? You know, I personally expect, since I'm an old like barrel chamber farmer, you know, 144 maps is not like a big sample size, and I would be I don't think that I will drop any Apothecary cards, you know. Obviously, the thing is, like, you could just Alk and go Crimson Temple, and you maybe not gonna find a single card in like 1,000 maps, but then you have this one friend that runs 3 maps and gets one, right? And in the other hand, it's always like, how much do you invest and how much do you get back? For example, if I would say, just like as a barrel chamber example, because I've did this like so often, if you're just Alk and go, I think the average map count for a Doctor card is somewhere around 400 to 500 maps per card, you know? If you obviously go Barrel Chamber tier 16 on 100% Delirious with Winged Scarabs and like literally like 1 or 2 Exalt investment per map, then obviously you will not need 400, 500 maps to find a Doctor card, right? So it's always about how much do I invest, how much do I get back. And I wanted to keep this as cheap as possible, that I say like, you know what, I'm just gonna run my Crimson Temple, I Chisel Alk them without Valing, as well as just adding the 4 Rusted Scarabs, basically. Good. What is the next point that I want to talk about? Yeah, I'm gonna keep everything separated. Then what about Sentinels? So the way I do Sentinels is pretty much not probably the right one, but this is just the way I do it. I have my Sentinel controller completely built around Red Sentinels, and basically take everything that empowers my Red Sentinel. All the right side here is Pandemonious, all the left side here is Apex. The only note that I did not take is Stalker Sentinels do not empower normal rarity enemies. I think that's a bit of a problem, because I did have this node in, but in the end of the day, either my Sentinel runs out of duration, or I'm done with the map, and I still have like 30 charges left on my Sentinel, so I don't want to like waste my charges. So I said like, I'm not going to skill this and just take like more travel nodes for the smaller kind of nodes over here, right? I'm not rolling my Sentinels, I'm just going to say how it is. I have here a Sentinel quad tab where there's like a bunch of like rare left. So I'm just going to pop them in, and I'm just not gonna worry about them at all, you know? I have my Sentinel controller, I'm gonna open the map, I'm gonna activate my Sentinel right away, and I just take whatever it gives me, basically, right? Good. We talked about all the basics. Let's talk about the gear real quick before we do our first map as our start off, which is basically a Death Oath auto bomber kind of playstyle. So back in the days with like Magic Finder builds used to be like Deadeyes, used to be Raiders, anything that is fast, usually bow characters or wanders because of the heavy spread clear in like a Barrel Chamber. Other than Crimson Temple, which is a complete different layout, which is like more of a tunnel style, you know, where you really have like small corridors where you have to go through, and this kind of sucks for something like an Ice Shot Raider or Deadeye something, right? So I said like, you know what, the best thing is actually a Death Oath. It's a very super chill playstyle. All I need to do is like hold down my Withering Step and just do like this, you know, I just run. Everything will die and explode thanks to like the Alcinet's Touch, as well as like the chain reaction with like Profane Bloom. And for bossing, I do have a 6-link Caustic Arrow that is actually doing quite some damage with Conk Effect, so just for maximum DPS. The Crimson Temple boss sucks a bit because sometimes he teleports around and I don't have much of mana regen, so I need to wait like 2 seconds or something within each attack. But it's totally fine, it will definitely be enough damage to kill off like any harder packs. Like, let's say I find a Legion and there's a General, you know, with just Death Oath alone, it's gonna suck ass, you know. Killing the map boss just with Death Oath, no thanks, that's gonna suck, you know. As well as like other bigger kind of like monsters or something, right? And that's why I picked up the caustic arrow, just because it scales the same way as all the other gear, right? So build guide for this, once it like is finally developed and ready to go for me, then I will make a build guide probably tomorrow or in 2 days or something. I just need more testing, but therefore we have our map project here, right? And in the end of the day, think about it. We are paying for 6 portals, so in the worst case scenario, we're gonna use 6 portals, having here cast on death with a portal setup. So I would say we're gonna start off this project with the first map. So the way we're gonna run all the maps the same, right? So I'm actually gonna pick up 4 maps, then damn it. So my scarabs, or at least my fragments, all of these have now affinity on, so everything I find will be translated into these tabs. So basically we're gonna just sextant our void stone, our void stones. The thing is, like, sometimes you will have a mod that is like completely useless, right? But in the other hand, we're gonna find sextants anyway, so in the end of the day, I prepared 144 for this project, and if I find some, or I'm rolling multiple times because I want to re-roll something, right? We're just gonna put it away, and that's pretty much it, right? So let's run the first map. All of the our scarabs in first map, 49% more monster life. I don't really care about that. So good. I hope this is not going to be a shit show in the map showcase, because we are running Searing Exile altars, right? And they can be horribly strong. So I'm going into the map, going to use my Sentinel, and then we're just going to run around. Obviously, the damage will look a lot worse in the start because of the empowered monsters, since they do have a lot more life and everything. So as we go, we should actually be able to pick up a lot more speed, and there is the first death. But hey, we paid for more portals, so we're gonna use more portals, right? It's just like, as I said, like, Sentinel empowered monsters do kind of hurt. It is what it is. You probably experienced that yourself. But as soon as our Sentinel charges are gone, which is pretty much now, we should be able to pick up a lot more speed. I'm actually running 1 inspired learning here, but to be honest, I don't think it's good. Like, I don't know, like, there is a lot of alley builds that stopped using inspired learnings. They stopped using all this stuff just because of modifiers that you can steal and stuff. It's the new Arch Nemesis modifiers just feel awkward, and that's why I totally agree that Headhunter is just not in a good state right now, right? And sometimes you steal weird things like this Ice Nova circle, and you always like stop to, or at least start to, what do you say, circle yourself in, right? So we got our first drop, which is the Enlightened. So one of the 3 div cards, I mean, I think it goes for like 70 chaos or something. Let me check. Yeah, 70 chaos. So first map is already profit. That's pretty nice. But as you see, based on the build, it is just an auto-walking simulator. All you do is run around, pick up loot. Your Death Oath will do the job. Your chain reactions, your explosions will do the job. And it's, in my opinion, one of the laziest playstyles that you can have out there, and it's perfectly fitted for Crimson Temple, and that's why I picked it up. And yeah, we're gonna see how it runs in the long term. So more clicking over here. I'm running here some storm boxes. Let me talk a little bit more about these altars. So the way I approach those, I never read those mods, dude. I'm a softcore player, you know. I wanna click on the icon where it spawns monsters, and I wanna kill the monsters, right? But there are some modifiers, especially now with the juiced altars, they are terrible. For example, I'm a Death Oath character. That means I kill monsters, I get a degen, and that's based on chaos damage. I do have 81% chaos damage, or chaos resistance, so I'm not getting a lot of damage overall, right? But there are Searing Exile altar modifiers that reduce my chaos resistance, and then all of a sudden I'm actually starting to kill myself, right? This weird meteor where you basically use your flasks and then you spawn some freaking meteors. So let's check the boss damage. As I said, this is 46% more monster life, and it actually almost dies with 1 caustic arrow. So you see, perfectly fitted, perfectly easy to use with the caustic arrow here. So that was map number 1. 143 maps to go. We already found the first Enlightened card for 70 chaos. I do hope that we're gonna find 1 apothecary. That would be nice, because this div card goes for like 30x. That would be a nice bonus on top. But other than that, up to challenge grinding, up to like doing some Atlas passive stuff. And yeah, maybe we're gonna enhance this project if it turns out to be lucrative or something. I will let you know in the update video. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.